Hi and welcome back to Bounce Forward with me, Tiff Hall. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm recording this podcast, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to elders past and present. Today on the show, I am so excited. I have Ada Nicademou, who is one of Australia's favourite media personalities and has starred as Leah Patterson on Home and Away since the early 2000s when I was sitting there as a kid watching and just loving her sick. Ada's been nominated for 7 Logie Awards, and in 2005 she starred on Dancing with the Stars and won the competition, so she knows a thing or two about fitness. Ada is also an author and has a son, Jonas, who we'll talk about in the podcast. I'm so excited to welcome her to Bounce Forward. Ada, thank you for coming on. So, Ada, I want to start by talking about your fitness routine and your usual schedule. What does your normal fitness routine look like? Because you look so fit.
Oh, thank you. It's changed so much, actually, in the last year. I had an injury. Now, don't laugh. About a year and a half ago, actually, I sneezed. I woke up in the morning to go to the gym at like 5 a.m. As I did, and I was in my dressing room getting changed, and I sneezed, and I perforated a disc. It was like I was in so much pain. But I'm like, I'll be fine. I'll just go to the physio and I'll sort it out. Anyway, had to have an operation. I still have a numb. No, I'm not. I still have a numb foot. On one side, and it just meant, and it probably will never heal properly. Like, I think I've actually just damaged a nerve. Oh, wow. I know. But it really made me rethink a lot of things that I was doing, because I've always been fit. Like, I love to exercise. For my mental health, I guess now I've realised, but it's just something that I just love to do.
Yes.
But I was like a machine. Like, I would do like a spin, then box, then, all that sort of stuff.
Cool.
And then I got into like heavy weightlifting as well.
Yeah, great.
And now I'm like, I'm never doing a deadlift again in my life.
Yes.
It's freaked me out now because I've got 2 discs that were damaged. And like, I'm talking, I was doing them with trainers and everything, but I just think that me at my age, I'm just too scared.
Yeah.
So now what I do is I do Pilates.
Beautiful.
I'm very lucky to have a reformer in my room.
Kidding. That's
I know,
a dream.
the perks.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Right? Yeah. So I don't take that for granted. So I've got an app that I use through your reformer, and I do Pilates at home. I also go to a studio. I do still do light weights. And walking. I can't run because I'll break my ankle because I still have a numb foot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow,
so, yeah.
Ada. So you've been on TV for longer than most celebrities and personalities out there. So I have to ask you, do you ever feel pressure to look a certain way, to be fit, to flog a fit lifestyle? Like, do you feel that pressure?
Do you know, I mean, I'd be lying if I said I didn't. I think I never used to, actually, when I was younger, and I'm wondering whether that has a lot to do with social media.
Yeah.
And just everything now, we just photograph everything, we video everything, and our whole lives are just, on social media and for everyone to see and critique. Because I've always been fit, but I think when I was younger, I probably didn't worry about my body as much as I do now. And in saying that, geez, I'm a size 6, so
yes,
I'm little,
so fit, yeah.
But there's always something about our bodies that we could change, or like the voice in your head that goes, I don't like this part or that part. So I think there's always a little bit of a battle. Now, I don't know whether it's because I'm on screen or whether it's my age. I don't know.
How often are you filming for Home and Away? What's a normal week look like for you, and how do you fit in doing Pilates and everything around a grueling schedule? Yeah,
so it is pretty grueling, and it's usually 5 days a week, and it's pretty it's usually early morning. So I guess if I was to be in studio, then my call time would be 6 a.m. So I'd have to leave home at 5:25. I'm one of those like maniacs that gets up at the crack of dawn to exercise.
Right.
But I find well, firstly, I'm up anyway because I don't sleep very well. But I just think it just sets my day really well. So even if I just do like 20 minutes on the reformer, at least it's something, you know, and I think then it's just I've done something for myself.
Yes.
So I like to do that, or I'll go for a walk like at lunchtime.
Yeah.
You know, we make it work. My schedule just changes so much. So I'll have days off, or I'll finish early. You know, I just make it work.
You're amazing. I just, to find that motivation, it's just amazing. I have this podcast called Bounce Forward, and it's all about bouncing forward and sort of women's postpartum journeys a little bit, and, you know, not bouncing back. So can you tell me a little bit about your postpartum journey? How was it after you had your son Jonas? Like, what did you feel that pressure to bounce back, snap back quickly? Like,
yes. Well, I remember So when I was pregnant with Jonas, I loved my body. I was looking at my belly and going, I look amazing. I couldn't stop staring at myself in amazement, like how, just like what the body does.
Yeah.
And like all the lines, everything was like sexy.
Yeah.
It was amazing, right? Yeah. Then I had emergency Caesar, he was all fine. And then I remember sort of the next morning, like looking down going, what? There's a belly still. No one told me about this. And then all of a sudden I hated my belly. Like it just went from loving it to this instant hating. And I didn't know what that was about. And then I remember even my father-in-law at the time, who's, you know, not the fittest looking guy, said, oh, when are you going to get rid of that? Like I was still in hospital. When are you going to get rid of that belly? And I think that sort of set me on this path of like I had to get rid of this belly because everyone tells you that you have to do it.
Yeah, right.
And then I stupidly decided to do a photo shoot for one of those mags where I was meant to have like the bikini body, like at like 5 months or something. And I remember like I was, you know, doing this photo shoot with Jonas as well, and the photographer at the time was just so awful. And it was, anyway, it really made me feel like crap about my body. And just the pressure that I put on myself and that society has put on us that we have to bounce back.
Yes.
So I remember when you were documenting all of this, I thought, you go, girl. Like,
oh, thank you.
Because no one talks about this stuff. No one talks about the fact. And we shouldn't. We're caring for a child. We've just given birth.
Yes, we're healing.
Our bodies are amazing.
Yeah. Our bodies are amazing. Shouldn't be putting that pressure on yourself. But I can't believe you did a photo shoot. Oh, my goodness.
Like, so stupid. I would never do that again.
So much pressure.
Yeah. And you just feel then all of a sudden just really unattractive and so it was a year of like not feeling really great about myself. I had postnatal depression as well. Yeah. I went back to work too early. You know,
that's
all
really
this stuff.
Tough. Yeah.
You know, he wasn't sleeping. I wasn't sleeping. Yeah. And look, I think it took me about a year to feel good as a mum. Feel good in my new body because our bodies are never the same.
No, postpartum for life. Yeah.
And I don't want it to be either because I've had a beautiful child. And if I'm being honest, I actually probably feel better in my body now than I did back, you know, prior to having Jonas. It's just a different shape.
Yes,
you know?
Yes, it's a different shape, but you feel more sort of empowered, don't you, as a mum?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Now, Ada, you've been so open and such a shining light for women everywhere, you know, with mental health. And I like to focus on the physical and the fitness and stuff, but also the mental is really important. And you've been really open about your experience with a stillbirth and just how hard that was for you. If you're comfortable, would you talk me through what your mental health was like at that period?
That was definitely the lowest time in my life. That was a really scary time when you just don't, like you're out of body, like you don't there's like people are saying stuff and like I don't really actually remember it that well. I just remember being very detached. Couldn't believe that it was happening to me. It's like this weird movie that you just can't get out of.
Horror film.
Yeah, it is a horror film. And it took me a long time. I don't think you ever get over it.
Yeah.
Harrison's anniversary is coming up soon.
Wow.
And it's always, I think the lead up's always a little bit difficult.
Yes.
And then on the day, I don't know, it changes every year. Yeah, it's just I think what got me through is actually Jonas, to be honest.
Yes.
I had a 2-year-old that I had to look after, and
yes,
I never said anything to him, but then I remember my auntie at the time going, well, have you said anything to Jonas? I'm like, well, he's 2. Like, why would I say something? And she goes, well, hang on a second. You've been pregnant all this time. You've been talking about this baby, and then all of a sudden you're really, really sad. There's no baby. Like, he would know. So I did start sort of talking to him, and he was 2. Like, he's not really going to answer me back. But, I did sort of talk to him about it, and I do still to this day. But I think that's just, he gave me the courage just to wake up every day and to keep moving forward.
To keep going forward. Wow. It's that just helps women everywhere, because women going through that themselves, just knowing that they can identify with you, and it's just such a gift. So what does healthy look like to you?
Oh, healthy looks like, being able to run around with Jonas, trying to, feeling good within myself that, I'm making right decisions. I tend to try and eat well. So I have an 80-20 rule.
Yeah, fantastic.
I think even with exercise, I think, if I can exercise 3 to 4 times a week, that's great. I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself. I'm trying to listen to my body. And I try and do things that now make me feel good. Like, I find it, like, I'm 47, so I find that a lot of cardio now, like heavy, like
too
just
much.
Doesn't feel good,
and it's proven physiologically not to be good for our hormones. Lifting weights, doing Pilates, you're doing the right thing for where you're at. You are.
Yeah. Like, I feel like when I do Pilates, like, the class finishes like 45 minutes later, I'm like, oh, I could keep on going.
Yeah.
Like, so that must mean that it's good.
It's good for your nervous system. You're not smashing your nervous system, because we don't want to be smashing ourselves, It's so hard.
No.
Yeah, you're doing the right thing. Thanks so much for listening to Bounce Forward, but there's still so much more to unpack, so stay tuned for part 2 coming soon. I love having your company, so please DM me on Instagram at tiffhall_XO and let me know what topics you'd love me to cover. Don't forget to rate and review me on your podcast app. Speak soon. Happy days.